Good morning and welcome to our daily devotion. It is Friday and the start of the weekend. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend planned. So today we're going to continue on with faith. And today we're talking about God's promise to be there. So archaeology has given us a number of insights into the past. One of the snapshots of the past happened when the city of Pompeii was destroyed by the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. When digging through the ancient ruins, archaeologists found many persons buried in some very different positions. Some were found in a deep basement vaults where they thought they had ran for safety. Others were found in attic chambers where they had hidden themselves from the hot lava flow. But where did they find the Roman soldier who stood as a sentinel? They found him standing at the gate of the city where he had been stationed by his captain, with his hand still grasping his weapon, a spear. There, while the earth shook beneath him, there, while the floods of ashes and cinder overwhelmed him, he had stood and not abandoned his post of duty until he was engulfed by hot molten rock. And there he was unearthed after 1,000 years. What a picture of faithfulness, duty, and responsibility. Faithfulness conveys the concept that someone will be there when we really need them. God has made this promise in a number of places in the Word. It's a promise of His which brings comfort to all those who might be struggling with life. What a comfort to hear it again. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. It's in the process that we too learn how to become faithful. It's as if we handle the little things with consistency, steadiness. We may not think anything is happening, but God sees the process and He knows what is happening inside of you as you work your way through struggle after struggle. Let's take a moment to consider this process. A commonplace life. A commonplace life, we say and we sigh, yet why should we sigh as we say? The commonplace sun and the commonplace day, the moon and the stars, they are commonplace things. The flower that blooms and the robin that sings, yet sad were the world and unhappy our lot. If flowers all failed and the sunshine came not, and God, who considers each separate soul, from commonplace lives makes a beautiful whole. And it's a little poem, but the author is unknown. As we continue this study, we have God's promise to be there and the wonderful story of two women, Ruth and Naomi. Ruth, the daughter-in-law, makes an astonishing promise, a commitment to be there. Well, enough. Let's read our text. But first, we're going to read Lamentations 3:19 through 26. The thought of my suffering and homelessness is bitter words. I will never forget this awful time as I grieve over my loss. Yet I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is His faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance, therefore I will hope in Him. The Lord is good to those who depend on Him, to those who search for Him. So it is good to wait quietly for salvation from the Lord. And then we're going to read in Ruth. And we'll talk about Lamentations in just a minute. And we're going to read Ruth 1 through 22. In the days when judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, they settled there. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other one named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone without her 2 sons or her husband. Then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughter-in-laws got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she set out from the place where she had been living, and they took the road that would lead them back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back to your mother's homes, and may the Lord reward you for your kindness to your husbands and to me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage." Then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. "No," they said, "we want to go with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Why should you go on with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who could grow up to be your husbands? No, my daughters, return to your parents' home, for I am too old to marry again. And even if it were possible, and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry someone else? No, of course not. My daughters, things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me." And again they wept together, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. "Look," Naomi said to her, "your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same." But Ruth replied, "Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us." When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So the 2 of them continued on their journey. When they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited by their arrival. "Is it really Naomi?" the woman asked. "Don't call me Naomi," she responded. "Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer, and the Almighty has sent such tragedy upon me?" So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem in late spring and at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now, we're not going to read the rest of the story of Naomi and Ruth, but it's a beautiful story. A story that's full of commitment and love and just responsibility. And it's also a story where Ruth becomes a part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. Let's look at Lamentations. The writer is apparently in a desperate situation. But why does he have hope? Well, he has hope because he knows that God is there no matter what. Sure, we may go through difficult circumstances, but God is always there for us. And why is God faithful? Because he promises to be. If we are faithful to him, he is faithful and just to us. And I know, and ask, can you think of some ways in which God's faithfulness has been recently demonstrated in your life? Well, I can tell you in my life, he's always there. You know, God has given me so many people in my life that have blessed me continually. But he always upholds me. He knows my current situation. And without fail, my needs are always provided. And usually it's me that messes up, not God. But, we just have to learn to trust and obey because he is faithful. He promises to always be there for us, and he is. Now let's go to Ruth. Why is faithfulness such an important quality of a lasting relationship? And I'll let you answer that one. Naomi finds herself, like I said, without her husband, without her sons. And she wants to send her daughter-in-laws away because she has nothing to offer them. But one, Ruth, stayed because she made a commitment to that family. And even though her commitment was released through the death of her husband, she decided to stay with Naomi, and to support her. That is real commitment. And Naomi, while she's not bitter, but she feels like God has left her in her position that, that she feels like he's shaking his fist at her. He's not. You need to read the rest of the story of Ruth. It is a beautiful story. So, what are some of life's situations in which you think it is important for us to be there? These are questions they asked for us today. And do you have any relationships currently which need your faithfulness to be shown? And how will you do that? And thank you, my friends, for joining us today for our daily devotion. Tomorrow we'll talk about the rewards of faithfulness, and then on Sunday I will be summarizing the spirit of the fruit, faithfulness. So I hope you will join us this weekend. I am going to do our devotions over the weekends. I know sometimes I don't do that, but I am going to do that this weekend. So I hope you will join me tomorrow for another daily devotion, and then again on Sunday. Thank you for being here this morning. God bless and have a beautiful day.